Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to today's message. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about a really interesting conversation I was listening to. Some of you guys might have actually seen it. If you are into Tony Robbins, if you are into the amazing Lewis Howes as well, both exceptional human beings that I absolutely adore and love learning from. And basically, I listened to the most recent interview that Lewis Howes had with Tony Robbins just the other day. And I wanted to create a conversation around something that I think it kind of was a little bit of an interesting way or an interesting perspective on self-love, and one that is definitely not present in most of the conversations around the globe. And so it was a little bit of a kind of a shock, and I would love to have this conversation with you guys. And I want to hear from you. So as you are tuning in, please do drop me a comment. Let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. And definitely let me know your thoughts on what we're going to be going into today. Because today's conversation is going to be hopefully one that does get you really waking up to how you perceive self-love and your love for others, and hopefully it gives you kind of a little bit of a shock, so that you can just challenge your own belief systems, your ways of being, that we kind of get into this kind of set and forget in our personal development or in our relationships, and we can end up feeling like we're putting all this energy and effort that's well-intentioned in the directions we think we should, and we leave it unquestioned, and then we kind of just feel like we're in the hamster wheel, not really getting ahead, and not really feeling like all of our efforts are moving us in the most inspiring and empowering direction that they possibly could, right? And so I'm hoping that this message definitely resonates with you guys. And as you're tuning in, if you do find value from this message, please do share it. That is such a gift that you can give to me to get into the minds and hearts of other exceptional souls just like you. All right, so let's dive into it, and I can't wait to hear your comments. But today's topic is, what comes first? Is it self-love or is it love for others? Kind of a bit of a chicken or the egg kind of story, right? So I'd love to hear from you guys just before we start this conversation, and I'm going to share both perspectives and what Tony Robbins kind of shared in this interview that I thought was really interesting and worth having a conversation about. But tell me, is it that you feel like you need to love yourself so that you can love others? Or do you believe that in the process of being able to love others, you get to generate love for yourself? Okay, so I want to hear from you. So drop me some comments. What comes first? Is it self-love or is it love for others? What's been your perception on this, your belief around this? And I must say that most of my perception around this has been very much based on how we treat ourselves determines how we treat others. All right, and basically that's been the kind of set and forget that I've been operating out of. And what I want to say is that nobody's perceptions are wrong, right? Like, there's truth, like from the famous words of one of my favorite mentors, Ken Wilber, everybody's perspectives are true, but they're partial, okay? They're not the whole truth, okay? And so it gets very interesting when we go from these two polarizing opposites into the realization that they're on the same spectrum and that they can't be without the other, all right? And this is the polarizing opposites create all of our conflict and our suffering and our tension. And basically when we get to a higher level of realization, which is more encompassing of all perspectives having truth but being partial, that actually frees us into kind of the paradox of we couldn't exist without the other, and actually the unity of both being inseparable. So Anyway, that's going down another tangent right now, but like, I definitely want to hear from you guys. I can see some people are saying, so we've got Sophia is saying love for others. Samuel is saying self-love first. Jackie, if I don't love myself, how can I love something I don't have? Awesome, guys, you rock. All right, can't wait to dive into this with you. So, like I said, my perception and my way of being at the forefront has been my relationship with myself will determine the relationships that I have with others. If I can't love myself, all right, then how can I love others, right? Like kind of echoing what Jackie's just shared there. And Tony Robbins, so Lewis Howes in this interview asked Tony Robbins, what do you think about self-love, right? What would you say to people who are, in different relationships and they're in toxic relationships and whatnot, and they're not loving themselves? How can they build that self-love? And Tony Robbins gave this kind of, it was a little bit like of a different perspective, which was basically pretty much calling the focus on self-love absolute BS, right? And basically saying, which kind of is shocking, right? If you have a mentality of how your relationship with self will determine the relationships with others, saying that self-love comes before loving others, then basically that's kind of a shock, right? And so many people have built their lives on these different concepts, so it can be quite challenging. And so basically what Tony Robbins was saying, his perspective was, if you just focus on trying to love yourself first, everything becomes about you. You kind of get stuck in this like victim mentality. You get hurt. It's all about, what's happening to you, right? Instead of, his perspective is the more you can get beyond yourself and show love and courageously show love, like this is in my words, but basically his perception. If you can get outside of yourself, courageously love others without condition, what that does for you is gives you an experience of somebody that you can be really proud to be, somebody who is able to love and does so. And in turn, that allows you to generate a love and admiration for yourself, okay? And so he was kind of calling BS on self-love being the main focus, and saying if you get outside of yourself and love others, it will give you an experience as to why you should love yourself, right? And admiration for yourself. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting, right? Because it's challenging a lot of the kind of set and forget language. But like I said to you before, I think every perspective has truth, but it's partial, and it's not about sitting on one side of the fence or the other, right? It's like the chicken and the egg, right? Like the way I see it is the love that we have within ourselves and the love that we have for others is actually not separate at all, right? We think that we can have this separate love for ourselves and this separate love for others, but basically this is the mentality that puts us in our inauthentic ways of being in the world, right? If we think that love is something that we stand to gain or to lose, right, then what do we do about that? We try to do whatever we can to get love and make sure we never lose it. And so what that does is set us up to try and live to the expectations of others, try and prove our value. And even in Tony Robbins, one of my favorite mentors who I absolutely love, even in that perspective, and of course, if I had a deep dive with him, it'd probably expand a lot more, right? But even in that perception, what I'm seeing is, I have to do something in order to be lovable, right? To be worth love, to be worth admiration and love. And it's about how much I can love others is the act of doing that will generate my lovability. And I want to share a more inclusive, more integrated perspective that doesn't make any perspective wrong. They're all true, but partial. And when we integrate them, basically what we can see is that love is actually always present. love does not get lost or gained. Nobody outside of you can give you love, and you're not giving it to yourself either. What is actually happening is it's a shift in awareness of the individual who is either experiencing love or fear, right? The presence of love or the loss of love, all right? And so, or the non-existence of love in that moment. And so what I see our experiences of having self-love and giving love to others or receiving love from others, it's basically not that it's been given or taken, right? Or lost or gained, but basically it's all in here, all in our perception as to our awareness of its presence moment to moment. Okay, and so I believe instead of us thinking about self-love or love for others and either one generating it for the other, basically they're just opportunities to wake up to a more full perspective that love is always available to us in any present moment. It's not lost or gained, it's just transforming in form that we have the power to awaken to based on what we are consciously being aware of. You can have a fear-focused awareness, right? That is basically looking for all the ways it needs to protect itself from our separate self and the separate selves of others. And basically it's just trying to survive, and it's trying to mold itself to get the love that it wants and needs from these external sources that it deems are determining whether or not to give or take love, right? And or we can have a love awareness, which is the waking up to every given moment, realizing and holding a strong belief that love is always present. It's just whether or not we're focused on it or not. All right. And if we take that perspective, we can actually live from the core part of just being love. Right? And not having to, do all these self-love things for ourselves or take all these actions that prove that we're a worthy human being that deserves love, or mold ourselves to the expectations of others so that we can live in hope to get them to give us love. And instead, we realize love is always present. And if I want to experience love, it's basically comes down to my awareness of it. Opening my mind, awakening to the love that's ever present. All right. And basically from that place, what do? We open ourselves up to actually be genuine, to be authentic, to be all of who we are. And to not fear rejection, not fear having love taken away from us, not fear that we have to be something that we are not in order to gain what we most want. All right, and that frees us up to accessing our true self, our true freedom, an integration of love and freedom and expansion, and to realize that we aren't. I know it's a woo-woo way of looking at things, but what I'm trying to share with you is something that can empower each of us, right? Like our experience of life is born from our awareness, our focus, and our belief systems. So if we run around life having this fear of loss, think we have to change who we are in order to get what we most want in terms of being loved or accepted or approved of or have connection, then basically that's not a life worth living, right? And from my perspective, we're missing the boat in terms of the purpose that we have in the world. My core belief is that every single one of us shares the same purpose to love fully and be loved fully, and we each have a unique expression of that love that we can help to expand humanity with. All right, I know I'm going all woo-woo on you guys, but I hope it's received, and I hope you just take it on board and challenge your own belief systems on this and try it on for size and see if it'll improve your life. Would it empower you to have these kind of ways of thinking and looking at the world and being more inclusive, not being so black and white, because it's kind of a paradox, but we are all unified in the purpose to love fully and be loved fully. And we each have a unique also contribution that is through the vessel that is you, that it is your purpose to awaken to. What are your gifts? How are you wired for impact? All right, like what is it uniquely about you as an expression of the core shared oneness, unity of love that you're put on this earth to do, right? And basically, we can get so caught up in wasting our energy based on who's getting the love. Am I giving it to myself? Am I giving it to others? And all this separate way of being. Just wake up to something that will empower you, which is love is ever present. It cannot be lost or gained. It is just shifting in form, and the form is your perception of it. All right, so when you know that, you can actually unlock the key to living true to yourself and actually accessing your unique gifts that are here to expand humanity and make your life worth living, right? Make you know that your core true self in connection to everybody else, it's not better or worse than anybody else, but it's unique, and that you are here to give whatever those gifts are. But you can't access your core gifts until you get outside of this fear of loss of love that makes you mold and put masks on who you actually are and not show up, right? Because you're trying to chase something that can't be lost. All right, so that's my rant for each and every one of you guys today. Obviously, you can see I'm very passionate about this topic, and it really inspires me to have these kind of conversations with you guys in the hope that it just gets us shifting out of a black and white perspective of life, of love, of how we live our reality, and empower you by taking the power back and realizing these key core concepts that can transform our ways of being in the world and allow us the pathway to walk down to actually access our gifts and make a really meaningful contribution to the lives of others in our unique expression, not molded to any expectations of anybody else. All right, I really want to check in with you guys, see who's been able to join me. So definitely drop me a comment. Let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. I hope you guys have been doing amazing. I'm about to go out for a beautiful day. It's pretty cold here in Melbourne, but a beautiful day with my mum, doing a bit of a high tea thing, doing something special. So yeah, I hope you guys have got a good day ahead, or you've had a brilliant day yourselves. But let me check in. I have got Samuel in the house, and Sophia, good to see you. And Elliot, always good to see you, my friend. And Bill's in the house, yay. And Elliot says, you can't give what you don't have. Yeah, so again, interesting what our perspectives are, and basically, you know, it's so true what you say, right? Remember, true and partial is every perception. And what I'd say to that is you can't give what you don't have, right? It has been part of my mentality around self-love, right? My relationship with self will determine my relationships with others. That's why I've focused on, you know, improving my relationship with myself. But relationships come down to the giving and receiving of love, right? And dropping the conditions, or looking at what conditions we place upon it. And if we couple Elliot's perspective there of you can't give what you don't have with what I shared with you, that love is always present, it cannot be lost or gained, then basically you can realize that that's true. And coupled with a belief that love is always present is you've always got love, so you can always give it. All right, so yeah, love it. Awesome. And Sophia, love for others usually. Yep, awesome perspective as well. Remember, because it's the chicken or the egg, you know? It's like it comes at the same time, right? Because I do believe, and that backs what Tony Robbins shared in this latest interview with Lewis Howes, which was basically, he generates love for himself through his ability to love others, all right? And that gives you this sense of pride for the person that you are. And it feels good to love others, right? Because what are you doing? It's not really that you're giving or taking love in any moment. What you're doing is you're perceiving love. You're experiencing it. Your awareness of love is heightened in this moment, right? And when you experience a lack of love, right, it's not that love isn't present, it's that you are not perceiving love, you're not waking up to it in this moment, right? You're focused on fear. So yeah, love that. Thanks for the contribution, Sophia. And Samuel says, self-love first. Put the oxygen mask on you first, then others. Work on your health first, then others. Absolutely. Again, true, partial, all integrative. And again, you know, it's kind of like even the putting your face mask on first, it's like the helping of others, it's the, you know, it's the waking up to the love in the present moment again, you know. So yeah, love it, guys. Really great contributions. And Jackie says, if I don't love myself, how can I love something I don't have? Again, coupling what Elliot said as well. Again, you know, that it's coupling that with the realization that love is always here. It's just shifting in form. The form is through your perception. You can wake up to love and give. That means you have access to it at any moment, and you can give it at any moment with that same perspective. So love it. And good to see you, Bill. And Javier, hello, gorgeous. I love your outfit. Thank you so much from San Diego. Good to see you as usual, my friend. Thank you for your kind words. And Bill is loving the message. I'm loving that you're loving the message. It's awesome. And Jackie, if we truly know and love ourselves, we won't have the need to control and manipulate people or circumstances to get our need met. Absolutely. Beautifully and wisely put. Gorgeous. I love it. So yeah, definitely. And I like to think about truly knowing and loving ourselves is actually the same thing as truly loving and truly knowing and loving others, right? Because when we get down to the core, we all share that core essence of love, right? And that core unity of not just humanity, but like everything in the universe. Oh my God, I'm going so woo-woo today on you guys. But basically, we drop that exactly because we realize that everything we've been trying to manipulate and get and from our external world is ever present in our internal world. There's nothing I need to do to manipulate or control because I've got access to it. And I know that it's not me as this separate being. I know you've got access to it too. We've all got access to it. It's not, and there's nothing in scarcity. It's constantly abundant. All right. So yeah, I love that, Jackie. Awesomely put. And Patty, good to see you. You'll have to listen to the replay. Hope you do. And I'd love to hear from you. Good to see you as usual. And Simon, good to see you. Yay. Key is balance. Love it. Too much self-love can become a selfish act and at the extreme becomes narcissistic, so focused on self that they don't care about others' needs. Too much focus on loving others becomes too altruistic and not enough self-care, and challenges us to set healthy boundaries and conquer our need to be selfish. So embracing both sides and loving oneself to fill our own cup first, then to be able to share the overflowing abundance and not needing to rely on others to fill our cups, be overflowing first, so self-love first in a healthy balance. Boom. Love all that you just shared there, Simon. So appreciate the contribution to our conversation today, like always. And yeah, I love it. So again, true and partial. It's like, what are our core belief systems and how are we looking at this? Because we can get very caught up in thinking that love is something that is in scarcity. Oh, I have to keep it for myself, right? I'm not giving any to you, right? The narcissistic approach. And on the altruistic approach, I hate to say this one, and I know we've had this conversation before in some of our group stuff in the Limitless Potential Academy, particularly when we look at our personality frameworks and our defensive strategies that all of us as human beings have in order to grow and survive and all sorts of things. But basically, when I talk with really self-sacrificing people, very altruistic people, sometimes the thing that wakes us up from that pathway is the realization that we believe that us giving all of our love away, in return we will get love. All right, so it can be a really challenging and limiting perspective to have when we feel like we either have to hold on to the love that we have in order to keep it, or, right, so the narcissist is just like, I'm just going to love myself because love is so scarce and whatever, right? They don't have the capacity to get outside of themselves because to give to others would be a loss to them, right? So it's like there's always got to be a winner and a loser. And so it's always in scarcity. And from the altruistic person's side, or the very self-sacrificing person's side, they don't believe that they are worthy of love. They don't see love as ever present. They see love as something to be lost and to be gained. And so their strategy to get love is to give it to you in the hope that you will deem them worthy enough of love to be received back in their direction. All right. So we have to question all of this and realize that our beliefs around love, and whether it's in scarcity or abundance, or whether it stands to be gained or lost, or whether it is ever present and just we can shift into it and experience it just through our conscious awareness, our loving awareness, that changes the scene for all of these conversations, right? So I love it. I so appreciate you, Simon. You are such a superstar. And awesome. All right. That is it from me today. I hope that this message has served you, just got you thinking outside the box, right? Challenging your belief systems, challenging your set and forget perceptions, right? Sometimes we just need a little bit of a shock. We just need to look at things from a different perspective and just know this. Every perception is true, but it's partial. Don't get trapped, right, in the black and white of it's always this way or it's always that way. When you can really accept that everything is true but partial, it opens you up for expansion, because there is always something to be learnt from every perspective shared. And when we fight against it or get defensive around it, all that is an alert for us to go, I've been a bit black and white about this. How is that going to limit me? And how could I actually open up to expand my perspective? Doesn't mean that I have to make myself wrong and them right. It's, again, I've got truth, their perspective has truth, but we're both partial, and together we can be more expansive. I can grow, I can learn, I can be more empowered, I can be more free. I could learn a perspective that could, shift my life, for the betterment of it, and access more love and all the great stuff. So why wouldn't I be open to those different perspectives, right? I hope this has served you and didn't really give you an answer to the question what comes first, because basically it all comes down from my perspective that I'm sharing with you guys today. Take it or leave it, or try it on for size. It really comes down to our belief in love as either something that we stand to gain or lose, or is ever present, accessed through our loving awareness. We can become aware of love that is ever present in any given moment, and that is the love that we seek is available to us through our awareness. It's not something that we must mold ourselves. It's not something that lays in the hands of others to give or take away from us. And by understanding that and holding that as a core belief, you will resist the urge, or you no longer have the urge to even resist about molding yourself to live to anybody else's expectations. Okay? You will get the ticket to freedom through authenticity, and that will serve for the betterment of humanity, right? Because we want every single human being waking up to their core self and no longer trying to mold themselves to be anything but who they actually are, so that we actually have the opportunity for them to walk down a path to access how they are actually wired for impact and meaningful contribution through their unique expression of our unity through love. All right, I've done a woo-woo, real super woo-woo for you guys today, but I hope it's been of value. Cannot wait to hear more from you guys who are listening to the recording. And thank you so much to everybody who joined me today, for your contributions, your words of wisdom, your perspectives, your openness. I absolutely love it and so appreciate this space that we get to co-create together. And if this was of value and you know others who could benefit from it, please do share it with them, and let's get some more perspectives on this one. All right, that is it from me today. As usual, my reminder is to go out there and honor your authenticity, to deepen your intimacy and contribute meaningfully and purposefully. Cannot wait to connect with you guys again soon. So much love, and I'll see you then.